Welcome, everyone. Welcome to 30 Minutes of Wisdom, Rising in Consciousness and Mindfulness. I'm Veronica Carrera. I'm the creator and the producer of the show. 30 Minutes of Wisdom is about rising in consciousness and connecting to our most authentic self. Today, we're going to have an amazing discussion, something that is really a topic that is so close to my house, to my heart. It is unbecoming, the transformative path to living truly and authentically. And to help me facilitate this important discussion, I have the one and only amazing John Jacob Mubarak. John, if you can just introduce yourself.
Wow, that was the best introduction ever. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I am here in Costa Rica. I live in Costa Rica. I am a facilitator at Rhythmia Life Advancement Center and teach curriculum there. I'm also a Agape licensed spiritual practitioner, which is like a spiritual therapist. And we can kind of put that under the umbrella of transformational coach. And I lead a group called the Spiritual Recalibration Circle and retreats. I'm getting ready to go to Peru here in a few days to lead a retreat in Peru. And I work with plant medicine and meditation as ways of assisting people in unbecoming. And I'm super grateful to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, John. And now we have our special guest, Chris Sorgi. Chris, I have been looking forward to our conversation all week. I heard you speak at another conference, and I left feeling it was a meeting that you were having with some of your coaches, and I left feeling so inspired that I said she needs to be on this LinkedIn Live show. All right, so I just want you to just tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Nice to meet you all. Thank you for having me. Nice meeting John. He has an amazing energy. And Vero, I connected to you the day I met you. So this has been, very special since the beginning. And thank you for honoring me with inviting me to this space. I love spaces like this where we can share our heart and discuss our own experiences. Today I say in my new life because I've invented myself many times. But today I work as a coach, as a transformational coach, as John does. And I work basically helping people understand who they truly are and reconnecting to that power, to that source, to that love, to that heart, to that level of consciousness where we all feel powerful to dream, to create really an extraordinary life. So it's been a journey of self-discovery. And then through that own journey, I've been able to lead other people through the same journey of finding themselves through difficult crises, through difficult moments, where they've had to show what they have and what we are. So it's been through these experiences, and I've been doing this for 8 years now. In my previous life, I was a lawyer in DC, and in my second life, I was an entrepreneur. And now this is my third life. I'm 49, so I've been doing 3 lives in one. So I can share many experiences about how this journey has been so wonderful for me and everybody, that has been part of it,
Thank you, Chris. We're so lucky to have you. And we're all going to get a chance to share a little bit about our journeys of becoming. This is a big topic. And to be honest, I feel that I need both of you to help me go deeper on this powerful topic. And for those of you who are listening, I know that you're all in different stages in your life. Yeah, either professionally, personally, relationships. And I think in this journey called our life journey, we have to make different decisions in our life to become the next version of ourselves, and then the next version of ourselves. And sometimes in this process, things fall apart, people leave, other people walking into our lives, and some things fall apart. And it is what Vishen Lakiani will call beautiful destruction, because it is part of the process of unbecoming. To become what? So maybe I'm going to start with that question. what does it mean to go through this process of unbecoming? Why don't we start with you, John Jacob?
Okay. Good.
His face. Okay.
So to me, as you said, people come into our lives, people exit our lives, things happen, things fall apart. And what that says to me is life is the curriculum, that
Mm,
we move through life and things happen. And as Viktor Frankl said, our only power is how we respond to external stimuli. And so unbecoming is the process of observation. For me, it's the process of observing my reactions to life as it flows in. And that in that observation, I get to observe limiting stories, limiting beliefs that typically come from our childhood experiences. And it works in this way. We have an experience. That experience creates a feeling. That feeling typically is something we want to avoid. And so we get crafty and we create armor or coping mechanisms in order to not feel that feeling. Then as life comes in, I find myself reacting to circumstances and situations in life. And many times my reactions don't match what I spiritually know or intellectually know, because it's coming from an emotional place, typically an emotional place that happened when I was young. So life is the curriculum. Things happen. Something falls apart. People are coming in. People are leaving. My response to it, if I observe and it's an uncomfortable feeling, then, or a trigger or an uncomfortable experience, then I get to observe. This is the process of unbecoming. I get to observe and notice, is this a familiar pattern? If it's a familiar pattern, then I can step into the feeling and really feel it. And typically, as I feel, what am I feeling in this? Here I'm an adult, I'm in a meeting, and I'm having a response. But the response, for example, that response might be resentment. And I'm going, well, I don't resent these people. I love these people. Why am I feeling resentment? And so if I can strip the words away and just feel the feeling, it typically time travels me back to an
mm,
earlier experience. And that formed a limiting belief. And so unbecoming is the process of observing ourselves, feeling what we're feeling, because it's typically in the emotional body, not the intellectual body or the spiritual body, typically in the emotional body, that these feelings arise. And those are typically the coping mechanisms or limiting stories or beliefs that I have, that I get to excavate. And in the process of excavating them, I release them and heal them. We all have stories and beliefs that are operating on a subconscious level that are limiting the true expression of our most authentic self. And so this is the process of unbecoming to me. It's that observing, feeling, and then asking empowering questions. So I'm having this observation of I'm feeling resentment and cynicism towards somebody who's speaking in a meeting that I'm in. I'm noticing the feeling. Now, empowering questions. How is this happening for me? What does my emotional body need to feel safe in this moment? What is my limiting belief here? So it's turning away from the external circumstance and coming into the subject, off of object onto subject, so that I can then do the work to examine those beliefs and decide if I want to change them. Because while we are unconsciously acting based on earlier experiences, we're not slaves to those experiences. We have the power to change them. And how do you change a limiting belief? And if I'll take another moment to just say, typically those early experiences get lodged in our amygdala. And the amygdala is like the drama queen of the brain. It kind of stores all of our early experiences in feelings, not in words. And so I use the example of touching a hot stove. You know, we all have had the experience of touching a hot stove when we were a kid. We instantly learned never to do that again. And years later, even though I know the stove is not hot, I hesitate. It's an automatic reaction. That's the same thing that happens to us in the meeting when I'm feeling resentful. It's an automatic reaction based on an early experience that gets lodged in our amygdala. How do I change that? By taking a new action that creates a new experience that then has a new feeling that then becomes a new law, a new premise, a new belief that's empowering. So this is the process of unbecoming, so that we can be our authentic self instead of operating according to unconscious patterns that are showing up in our lives. So that's the piece, right? If the pattern is showing up consistently, we get to observe it, feel it, ask empowering questions, and in that process, take new action that creates a new experience and then becomes a new premise, an empowering premise in our lives.
You share a lot of gems of wisdom right there. Yeah, we're going to have time to explore them and excavate them a little bit more and get more personal. Um, but in essence, what you're sharing is, what about aspects of our personality are serving us and which ones do not? And the ones that do not are probably or most likely or absolutely linked to some sort of childhood trauma or memory that makes us react or behave in ways that do not serve us. And unbecoming, there are so many layers, right? And we're going to unpack this a little bit more, but now I'm going to go to Cristina Sorgi. Cristina, what is unbecoming to you? Cristina, I think you are muted.
Okay, can you hear me?
There we go. There we go.
Um, the first thing I would say is, for me, Unbecoming has been a journey of self observation, of accepting that I am not this body, this physical form,
Mm.
this identity that I believe I am. I am not the lawyer, I am not the coach, I am not the mother, I am not the wife. That I have identified myself with the perfect daughter or with the role of whatever that character thinks it is. I'm the actor, I'm the soul, I'm the spirit, I'm the energy, I'm the information. So to live that, it has been through difficult experiences in my life where I have had to go and realize that the answers are always in my heart, and that character, that identity that I have, doesn't necessarily have the solutions, doesn't have the answers. Those are pre-made, pre-learned structures of my mind, but they're not real. They're just thoughts. So for me, Unbecoming has been to connect to my heart and forget about, dissolve the ego's presence and realize that I am not the ego, that I am the soul, that I am the spirit, and that there's a truer knowledge in me that has not been learned. It's just there. It's always been there. And when I speak from that truth, people resonate with it and people know that it's true. It's like it's speaking from a different place. And I have gone through it or experienced it, which I cannot explain with words, because when you are what you are, you just know. It's like I don't know, Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee doesn't walk around the streets, showing his moves. People know that Bruce Lee has this energy of karate and he can kill someone just with a, a little movement. But he doesn't
Mhm.
have to pretend to be this karate guy that goes around killing people. He has the power within him that emanates, and people know you're not gonna screw Bruce Lee, right? You're not gonna mess with him. But it's this energy that you carry with you that is what you are. And your energy comes before you. You come to a place and people can feel what you are before you say who you think you are. It's like
Mhm.
the energy precedes you. So it's always the introduction of the energy before the introduction of the character of that person that you think you're playing. You're the actor, you're not Indiana Jones. You can choose any day what you want to be. So for me, being is just breathing, observing my thoughts, observing my emotions, like John said, and surrendering in humility to say, you know what, I don't know anything. Let this guide this. Let me the wisdom guide me through the day, and let me be inspired and just move with that inspiration. And lately, I've been using a lot of that inspiration to do my work. Like I feel something and I just go towards it and I do it. Like I've been trying to get that character away. Like no, you have to do this, you have to do that. All the shoulds, all the shoulds, all the shoulds. I'm letting go of all the shoulds, and I'm just allowing myself to just follow that heart, follow that wisdom, follow that intuition. And it's been a process of trusting this. It's like a muscle. It's like going to the gym where you have to forget who you think you were and remember who you truly are. And how do you get there? You get there through meditation, prayer, crisis, contemplation, journaling. How do you connect to that source? So for me, it's unbecoming is becoming aware of the illusions that you thought you were or what you thought you were until today. I mean, every moment is challenging us to ask ourselves, who am I? Why am I here? What is this? Why is this happening? Why? What's the reason of this behind this? Because the ego wants you to ask why, but you never get the why. When you ask what for, what is the experience that this is teaching me, then you can go to the limiting beliefs that John was mentioning, the emotions. So you can go to, okay, the what for is so that I can release this, so that I can release this memory and this feeling that is associated with the memory. So every crisis will bring you awareness of what you have to let go, because you're not that.
I love it. Every crisis will bring you awareness of what you need to let go.
Exactly.
Let's talk about this a little bit more.
So I don't know if I made myself clear, but I'm just.
It was beautiful.
It
Absolutely
was
beautiful.
beautiful, powerful. I'm glad this is being recorded. So I want to touch upon, just highlight this one point that you made before we go deeper into this process of unbecoming, because we're going to get a little bit more personal. You said that your energy leads, your energy speaks before you say anything.
Yes.
It is as if your energy is your infinite signature. It shows up everywhere. You don't need to say anything. You don't need to prove anything, because what others can see is what you are, not what you do, is who you are. And that's the process of becoming. But we're going to explore this a little bit more. And the way we're going to do this is by talking about, and whoever wants to start, tell me about those moments in your life, or maybe any specific pivotal moment in your life that forced you, or maybe help you recognize that the life you were living was no longer working, and where you had to let go of your old identity and step into the unknown.
John, go ahead.
I
I'm
love
going through one of those processes right now. Isn't that convenient? You know, I love everything you said, Cristina. It was beautiful, and I resonated very deeply with it. This idea of the should and the the persona, the identity, and we're typically, I'm noticing this for myself. I'm typically interacting with a persona or an idealized version of either myself or another person, and I'm comparing myself to that. And here's how it's working for me right now. I'm going to be really vulnerable because I'm in the middle of this process. But maybe people can relate to this. I feel overwhelmed by my calendar. You know, I pack the day. You know, it's meetings and clients and classes and workshops and then all the other stuff of life. You know, you want to exercise and walk the dog and go do the grocery shopping and all of the stuff that you need to do. And I have this vision of a contemplative life. You know, I should be finishing all the stuff that I do all day and then retiring to my study and deeply contemplating, reading, journaling, you know, but by 8 o'clock, I'm done. So I started thinking about this, you know, like, gosh, is it? Why am I having so much trouble with my schedule? I know other people are way busier, way more productive. And so that's me interacting with the persona. I was thinking of, I'm reading the Red Book, Carl Jung's Red Book, and I'm idealizing Jung. Here he is working all day with clients, and then going into his study at night and doing this deep contemplation of working with his unconscious, the shadow. And I'm thinking, yeah, I mean, he's one of the greatest minds of the last century. But I'm comparing myself to him. And a friend of mine reminded me, Jung had 3 secretaries, and he had affairs with all 3 of them. So probably he wasn't working every night in his study, at least not on his shadow, and then you want to talk about addiction. He had a pipe in his mouth. The only time he took that pipe out of his mouth was to reload it and smoke some more, so there's Carl, not Jung. And I do that with other people, right? I can look at Cristina and be like, oh my God, international lawyer, coach, mother, you look at you, Veronica, past amazing success in the business world, transform that into your passion project now that you're doing, and comparing an idealized version of both of you against myself. And then I feel crappy about myself. And I started looking at this. Okay, what is this? But it really was like, why can't I'm very productive, but I never feel like I accomplish enough. There's never a day when I'm like, today's a day to take the time off because I've earned it. It's like, there's so much more to do and I'm behind. And so what's underneath that? Started looking at that feeling. I remembered a feeling, and it took me back to a experience of learning the multiplication tables as a child. Because I felt the same way as I was looking at my schedule and trying to figure it out, and I can't do it, and I don't even know how to do it. And what did that feel like? It felt like me being 6 or 7 and learning the multiplication tables and needing my mom to help me. Again, I didn't go to school and say to my classmates, boy, that homework was really tough last night. How was it for you? I didn't say anything because I just assumed it was easy for them. They figured it all out. I was the one that needed help. Same feeling. Now I'm 56 years old feeling that same thing. What's underneath that? As I'm looking, there's a story that I'm broken, that there's something wrong with me. Whatever it is, I'm not Jung.
Good enough.
Cristina. I'm not enough, right? But this idea, is it my ADHD? What's wrong? So what I'm realizing is...
I also have it, so we have it.
Right. Of course. So the story that I want and need to release underlying this is a deep belief that I'm broken, and I am holding on to that story because it allows me to justify why all these other people are so great and I'm not.
And maybe why you shouldn't go for the greatest dream that you have. I mean, you already came from a tech talk speak in France. Okay, this is amazing. But sometimes we hold ourselves back from walking towards our greatest dreams because I'm not good enough.
Well, and it's this.
You know what came to mind? The pride.
Please.
The pride of doing a lot compensates for the feeling that I don't do enough, I'm not good enough. So the exaggeration, the excess of doing too much is to compensate the feeling that it's never enough. And I keep telling myself, that's why I book myself like crazy, because I don't deserve to relax. I don't deserve to let go. In my shadow, there's the relajación, like descansar, like where I can do nothing. What do you do when nobody sees you? I relax. When nobody's looking at me, what do you really do? What do you allow yourself to do when nobody's looking? Basically, take a break. So you take a break when nobody's looking, because nobody's going to say anything about you. Because there's pride behind, pride is so important. There's so much pride behind what we think we have to be doing to become.
So talk a little bit more about that, Chris, because now we can just connect what John Jacob was saying to your process of unbecoming. What is it that you needed to let go, or you're still trying to let go?
Well, everything he said, I have it. And I have it right now as we speak. So we can, when we close the conversation here, we can open one on the WhatsApp,
Maybe
and do therapy. Um,
we can
but
coach each other. I love it.
we can coach each other. Yeah, I think we need that. We actually do, over some wine. So what I think is important is that in my process, I had to let go of, oh my God, where to start? But the first thing was the fear of letting my parents down, because I was quitting law firm, because I was quitting law school. I did 5 years in Venezuela, 5 years in Georgetown, DC. I did my whole Juris Doctorate, my master's. I did my career twice just to be able to practice in the States. I wasn't clear what I wanted to do, but I was doing it okay. I was in good law firms, amazing law firms. And I didn't want to let go of the sacrifice that I had to go through to become that lawyer. So I was holding on. I was attached to the sacrifice that I did. And I gave pride. I had pride, what I was mentioning, in being that lawyer in DC. And until I let go of the pride, the fear, the limiting beliefs that I can't do anything else, this is all I know how to do, and I had to reinvent. And then I went from that to opening a baby food company with my family, um, healthy, blah blah blah. But in the end, it's like letting go of the identity that and the beliefs associated with that identity. So the lawyer has to be a lawyer. So you know what I did? Can I let go of the secretary? Yes. Can I let go of the supercar? Yeah. Can I let go of the super apartment and place? Yeah. Can I let go of the coffee in the mornings, of the Barnes and Nobles downstairs, of the view of the Washington Monument? Can I let go of the corner office? Can I let go? Can I let go of all these things that amazing for everybody, that everybody wants, but I wasn't happy with? Can I let go of everything in little bits and pieces? Yes. So then I can become something different because I don't need any of this. So letting go of the need associated with that image.
But
So
how do you know that that's something that you had to let go of? Because it's not always bad, right? Our achievements are part of what our soul pull us through that direction, right? Like I did a master's at Cornell University for a woman of color who didn't grow up with a mom and a dad. I mean, for me, all these were important accomplishments that made me feel fulfilled, yeah, and allowed me to have the career that I had in so many ways. But how do you know? I mean, you're international lawyer, Georgetown University, yeah, and then suddenly you said this is not for me.
no, I started feeling uncomfortable, that I didn't want to work those hours. I didn't want to travel that much. I wanted to settle. My soul was asking me for a family, for a husband, for a life, for balance. I'm not saying that it has to be lived that way, because John was saying you can decide how to live the experience. You can decide how to react to being a lawyer. But my soul, starting that from the beginning, that I didn't even know why I studied law. It's like you don't even know yourself at 17 when you have to do that that decision, when you have to make that decision. So it's like you choose something because you don't know math, you don't know the tables. So then you go to the other opposite, which is reading and writing, which is to be a lawyer. Okay, I'm not an engineer because I hate math, or an architect. Then I go to the other side, right? So you choose based on these fears, on these beliefs, and then you say, okay, it was not coherent from the beginning. And you ask yourself the questions that John was asking, and you say, do I really want to be here? Does this really make me happy? We're scared of asking the questions. We're so scared of asking the questions because we're scared of doing the changes. So we don't even want to listen to ourselves say, no, I don't want to be here. So the
I
first question
love
is,
what you're
ask
saying.
yourself the question: do you want to really stay in this place doing this? Your soul will say yes or no, and you have to listen. When you listen, you have to be obedient, because obedience is coherence.
And what happens if you don't follow? For instance, and let me ask, because we posted
You're
this on
stuck. You're stuck.
we posted this on the description of our LinkedIn live. Like, you know, am I following my life's purpose? Am I in the right relationship that honors my life journey? Am I in the right relationships, period? Yeah. And am I following my soul's path? So these are the questions. But sometimes we people struggle to know and to hear that inner voice, Chris.
you know what? I think we have judgments. For example, I let go of the judgment of being a lawyer. I let go of the judgment of not being a lawyer. I let go of all the beliefs that have to do with one and the other so that you can make the jump. Because if you are judging the non-lawyer, how can you become the non-lawyer? You have to let go of the judgments, because nothing is right and wrong. They're just experiences. Is it better to be a lawyer than to be a coach? For me, it's each person is going to answer that question. For me, it's a happier life to live what I love doing, and this is what I'm passionate about this, and I went to study this, and I became this. But you have to allow yourself to ask the questions. Am I comfortable here? And listen. And but if you have judgments, you're probably, if I have a bad experience, if I had a bad experience when I was young and I swallowed some water in the ocean and I almost drowned, you invite me today. Do you want beach or do you want mountain? I'm going to choose the mountain because my unconscious mind has the bad event of the beach.
Yeah.
But if I let go of the trauma, I let go of the belief that the beach is dangerous, then maybe I'm going to allow myself to go to the beach again and experience the beach. But we're limiting ourselves with all the beliefs that we have, so we don't really think outside the box. We're not allowing ourselves the questions.
So this is really interesting. And
We
John
need
Jacob,
like 2 hours.
yeah, we need like 2 hours, and we're going to have opportunity to come back and go deeper into this. But what I love about this is that you have to constantly ask yourself questions, connect with yourself, and ask your higher self, am I in the right place? Connect with your own emotions. If you're not excited anymore about where you're at, there is some inner voice
Pushing
out
you somewhere.
pushing you somewhere else. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing that
And John Jacobs, yes.
most of us, most people, I see this every day, whether it's in a workshop or with clients. I don't know what I really want. I wish I knew my life purpose, but I don't even know what I want. And that is the pathology that Cristina has been so beautifully referring to, which is an idea of, again, this normative idea of what we should be. And I'm sorry, I'm just going to take a second. Yes. So that Cristina used the idea of, I had a bad experience at the beach, and if today you give me a choice, beach or mountain, I'm going to choose mountain. Most of us don't even know why we're not choosing beach. And so the question then becomes, what's underneath that? And it is the identity. It is, but the identity and the reason why we chose the things that we did, and they served us until they didn't. But the reason why is this underpinning belief of I'm struggling to make this concise. Underpinning belief of an ideal of what we think who we think we need to be in order to
Should
get
be. Uh-huh.
who we
Should
think
be.
we
So,
should is the
should
operative
be
word, normative statement, and getting in touch with our want, because the
getting in
only
touch
way
with
we
our
know the only way we know if we're off course is if I want something and I'm not able to get it. So now getting clear on what we want becomes then the motivation to start excavating these limiting beliefs. And the underpinning is emotional. And in the example that I used for myself, what I'm seeing is full self-acceptance of myself exactly as I am. Because the perfectionist, I need to be perfect, or this idealized persona of what I should be based on all of these other personas that I'm interacting with, identities. This is the foundational piece of I just talked myself off my point of of the
We're
idea of
going so deep that we let go
We're
of
going
course.
to leave.
the perfectionist, right? The perfection. Can I let go of that idea? Because the underlying idea that spurred us to law school or to a master's degree at Cornell or to a TED talk, whatever, is this idea that of proving ourselves. This is why the schedule is so important, and overloading is I have to prove that I'm enough, that I'm okay. And so this radical self-acceptance of ourselves and knowing, getting to the point where we know that I'm okay and this is how it happens for me, that I'm incomparable, that there's not another John on the face of the earth right now, never has been, never will be. There's another Cristina, there's not another Vero. And so therefore there's no one to compare ourselves to. We are incomparable. And then allowing our lives, that accepting this is where we are, this is who I am, just as I am. And there's nothing wrong. I'm not broken. There's nothing to prove. And from this place, doing this excavating work, then we get a clear signal of what we actually want. And I'll end with this point. One of a powerful meditation to do is to imagine yourself as a god or a goddess, like one of those old school gods or goddesses from Greek mythology or Egyptian mythology. You can do anything you want, you can make, you can create. Now, then all the stuff, you'll see that all the things that you want, all the things that we want to accomplish are usually based on an if-then thinking, that if I could do this, then I'd be okay. If I could know where I'm supposed to live, the next chapter of my book, if this is the right relationship, if this is the right career, if I had that, then I'll be okay. That if-then thinking is the fundamental civil war that we're having against ourselves, that fundamentally, I'm not enough, this moment isn't enough. There's something wrong now, and there's clearly something wrong with me. This is the unconscious underpinning. So acceptance becomes the healing balm that allows us to unravel that tightly wound pattern of productivity and achievement in order to prove worth. And then from that, so you're the god or goddess. You can make whatever you want, have whatever you want. So now you have everything, all the money, all the success, all the whatever it is that you want. Now, from that point in your meditation, what do I want to create? Because all of the other stuff is already handled.
Let's pause right there, because I think there is so much coming to all of us about this topic, but I want to leave people with something clear, more like a clear direction of what we, an intention and meaning of what we're trying to share. Adriana says, thank you very much for bringing all these questions that we can ask ourselves in the process of being better human beings, more real, more authentic. And it's interesting enough, Adriana is the one that is bringing us to the closing point. What we ultimately want is live a life of authenticity. Being authentic to the highest expression of our humanity. In this journey called life, we came here to this earth school to experience all of it, even what may seem as our mistakes or detours, or having done the law degree or the MBA, or John Jacob has done so many things. It was all part of the journey, and it taught us something. Yeah. And that is when it comes to radical self-acceptance and compassionate inquiry. At each point of our lives, the person that we have to love the most is this right here in front of the mirror. Yeah? Because that's when you do an compassionate self-inquiry. Am I still in the right path? Do I still feel excited about the person I'm with? Does that person give me peace? Is what I'm doing right now at work helping me express my highest potential? Or am I just going through the motions and logging in to the computer just so that I can fulfill some work tasks, but I'm not excited at all. I dread to even turn on that computer. As a coach, am I excited about helping people transform? And maybe that is why all of us went into this life. It was not easy for me to leave a job that I absolutely loved. Like I loved being a sales leader. I loved the people I led. I had no reasons to leave. No reasons to leave. But there was something else that was calling me. I got to a point in my life that I had become successful in many fronts. And I think the divine, I'm not going to apologize to talk about the divine. The divine touches our soul at certain points, and it might tell you it's time to do something different. And now it's time to serve in big ways. And it's not just about you. Life is not just about you. It's about what I may have sent you here to do. For me, it was the most scary thing of unbecoming is letting go of a big job that I love with a salary that was comfortable, with a life that was comfortable, to then come to Costa Rica, and my partner can tell you a transition that was really hard to do something that I thought was very meaningful in what I was called to do. Space that could bring so much healing, more healing to people, because that's what I experienced in my life. So when I think about Cristina and what she does, yeah, and why she was called from being an international lawyer from Georgetown University to now become a transformational coach and executive coach to transform people's lives, is because her soul spoke to her very loudly that that's the way she's going to impact so many lives. And what we give comes back to us. There is something magnificent expressing through her. And the same thing for you, John Jacob. I cannot imagine a more amazing keynote speaker. I mean, you are incredible. Yeah. And I just have to say is I remember watching you coach someone live, because I'm also a coach. And I remember saying, oh my goodness, can I be as good as John Jacob is? And I think what happens is that as we say yes, it's a sacred yes, as scary as it is, it takes courage. So for whoever is listening, I'm not saying that to follow your soul's call is easy. What I'm saying is that is probably the most powerful decision to say yes to. Because what's on the other side of it is just exactly this beautiful metaphor that I love. Is that the cocoon, so as the chrysalis breaks through the cocoon, and it's so difficult. It just everything feels like, oh my gosh, I can't go through this. But what's on the other side of this is your ability to fly. And that's what I think we're saying yes to when we follow our soul's journey. Any final words? Because it's 30 minutes of wisdom became more 45 minutes of wisdom, but it was so powerful. We're going to have to do this again. We had some great feedback from the crowd, but any final words, Chris and John Jacob? So just maybe what's one thing that you want to leave people with?
I think you're muted, Christina.
Willingness to see ourselves in a different way.
Say that
Willingness,
again.
being willing to see things in a different way.
Be willing to say things in a different way.
To see, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the way we're seeing them are limiting us. We need to open our perception and our heart to receive new information, a new guide.
You and I are students of A Course in Miracles. And it says, can I see this a different way? Beautiful. Amazing. John Jacob, what is one thing you want to leave the audience with?
Life is the curriculum.
Ooh,
Every trigger is a teacher. Every uncomfortable moment is an invitation to heal, to unbecome.
ooh.
And there's no off course.
There is no, of course.
There's no off course. Off course is part of the course. Off course is part of the course. You're right.
Woo!
You need to be. It's okay exactly as it is, just where you are. We're not marching to a destination. We're mapping new terrain. So be all right. Take a breath. Realize that every uncomfortable moment is an invitation to unbecome. Every trigger is a teacher. You're doing the curriculum, and there's nobody to compare yourself to because you're the only you. You're farther than you think you are, and you're doing better than you think you are. Give yourself a break. I
Give
think that's
yourself a break. The process of
I love
unbecoming.
it.
I love it. The process of unbecoming is a process of healing. It's a process of letting go what no longer serves our soul so that we can become more of who we truly are. At the end of the day, we're here to be happy. I just want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you for everyone for all your comments as well.
yes.
Um, thank you for the phenomenal human beings that you are. I'm in this journey, and one of the greatest blessings for being in this journey, by the way, is that I say no to something that I thought, oh my gosh, I'm so comfortable doing so well. This is so great. And why am I giving this up? And just as the chrysalis goes through, breaking through, on the other side, I have been able to meet people like you. And what a blessing. And opportunities that are out of this world. Yeah. And I think that's exactly as it is. I'm just going to leave us with Kieran's thoughts. Is becoming often feels like building, striving, growing into something more. It's about effort, direction, identity. But I'm becoming, that's where liberation lives. I'm
Amen, brother.
is where liberation lives. Thank you, Kieran. And thank you one more time for another episode of 30 Minutes of Wisdom, Rising in Consciousness and Mindfulness. For those of you who want to follow us on Instagram, I just want to tell you, I actually have it right here. This is our Instagram page at atertunticostarica.com. This is my holistic retreat. These guys are going to be coming here and we're going to be teaching together, helping you in this process of unbecoming and becoming more of who you truly are. Thank you both. I love you. Thank you again. Thank you everyone for
Thank
joining.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
so much.
you.
I loved meeting you, John.